Okay, to finish this off, what I want to show you is how to fill in a color. Um, in order to fill in a color, what you can do is if you have a background, a white background here, uh, you don't have to have anything selected because we're filling the whole entire thing. But in order to fill the color in the background layer, you got to make sure the background layer is selected. Whatever you're about to do, no matter what it is to whatever it is, you have to be on that layer. And then when you have the background layer selected, you go over here to where your foreground color is. Keep in mind, anytime you're selecting a tool or it's your foreground, it tells you the names of everything. If you just hover your mouse and just let it sit there for a split second, this is the default foreground and background colors. This is swapping your foreground and background colors. Reset default. So anytime you need to reset your colors because you might have blue here for the foreground and this is your background, you might have like red or something like that. And if you want actual solid black and solid white as your foreground color and background color, you're going to hit the reset default. That's solid black, that's solid white. And if you want white as your background instead of black, or your foreground, instead of black as your foreground, and you want white there, you just swap them. And that's what those are. Um, so I don't want black as my background. I want some specific color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click to open up the color picker and do some kind of like blue. And you got these triangles here to where you can actually move the triangles. It's like a slider to like pinks, reds, greens, yellows, oranges. I'm gonna do some blue, but you actually had to physically select something here, and you got like all these different shades of blue. And if you actually physically click there, you're gonna actually pick a blue color and then hit OK. And then when you hit OK, you'll see that the color that you picked is your new foreground color. And in order to actually fill a color, you're going to select the background, which we already do. We have our colors selected. Hold Option or Alt on a PC and hit the big delete button, and it fills in the whole entire layer with that color that you picked. So that's we wanted the whole entire layer colored, so we didn't have to have a selection. But anytime I'm gonna do some polka dots or something like that, and we'll put on its own layer. With the background layer selected, uh, to create a new layer is this button right here. It's a square with a plus sign, and if you click it, the layer that we had selected was the background layer, and it's automatically going to put it right above the layer you had originally selected for a new layer. So let's say I wanted polka dots or something like that. I'll take my elliptical marquee and uh, hold shift to keep proportional, option to work from the center on out. And I got a circle here. And if I wanted to fill that with color because I have a selection up, what I'm about to do with its own layer, and anytime you have a selection up, whatever you're about to do is going to happen with inside that selection. So if I select a different color, red or something like that, Option Delete to fill the color, and it filled the color inside that selection because I had a selection up. And then deselect, create more circles, and you can put all these on their own separate layer if you wanted to. I'm just going to put all my polka dots on one layer, and then Option Delete, smaller one, Option Delete, Option Delete. And I'll keep adding more, but it gives you the idea of how to fill in a color. Hold Option, big delete button. If you're a PC, Option is Alt, and then deselect. So that's how you fill in a color. The last thing I want to mention is a layer style. Layer styles are very nice because it's a quickly applied effect to a layer that drastically changes the appearance of whatever's on that layer by adding a layer style. So in order to add a layer style, I'll do it to the polka dots. I'll double click on the thumbnail and I'll open up the layer style window, and you have all these different layer styles. And because I double clicked where the polka dots were, let's say I want to bevel and emboss, it'll add a bevel and emboss and make it look more three-dimensional. And because I clicked on bevel and emboss, you have all these options right here. I can change the size of that bevel and emboss, give it more dimension. You have all these things to play around with, just change the appearance of whatever's on that layer. You can now add a stroke. So now you have like a black stroke, make it bigger so you can see it, just like that. The one thing you want to be very careful of is when you are adding these layer styles, don't just click on the boxes. If you click on the box, it'll add the layer style, but what happens is that if you just click on the box, you don't get to manipulate the drop shadow, like change it with all the other options. In order to do that, you want to click on the word. Always click on the word instead of just checking on the box, because you'll be able to change all the options that the drop shadow has, or the stroke. It will apply it, but you want to change the size of the stroke. You want to mess around with the bevel and emboss options. Click on the words itself. Don't just check the boxes. Always click on the words. So if you like the layer styles that you are applying and you're done, there's all these to play around with. Just hit OK, and you know that there's a layer style placed inside that layer because you have all these right here. And you can always double click and add more or change the ones that you applied. And you can always go back to like a different layer, such as, I didn't name them all, but let's say the hat. Double click on that, and then it's going to apply layer style to just where the mushroom is in the hat. And if I want to bevel and emboss, make it more three-dimensional, I can do that. If I want to stroke around it, I can do that. But I don't want to do that, so I'm going to remove it, so I'm going to uncheck it. So forth. And that's how you add a layer style. It dramatically changes the appearance right away just by adding some layer styles. And that is it.